Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the Harlequin class mod in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a mod that was originally made by Harlequin Zigo on Nexus mods, and Ahdarugo ported it over and updated it for patch 8 and added in a few other things to this with the permission of the original modder here. This is actually a mod that I downloaded back in 2024. I actually really enjoyed this class. Now there's three different subclasses. There's the Acrobat, which is more of like a dexterity. You can actually add your charisma modifier to your armor class. They're fast paced. They get the uncanny movement and some other rogue abilities, like you can take half damage from spells. The Jester is more so about like the debuffs from Frightened, and the Torchbearer, which is the one I'm going to focus on, as I find this to be the most fun personally. It's about spellcasting a little bit more and fire damage. You can use torches and all of that. Now, starting off here at level 1, we get to choose from a few different cantrips here, and this actually has some pretty good compatibility with other mods. So if you have things like the new Blade Cantress by ZX10RX, you can use the Cerebral Blade here. There's also some from other Dawnstar mods. I'm just going to go with Mage Hand here. This is a really good choice. I guess also the Vicious Mocker if you want to have a damage option. This is like a martial spellcaster hybrid, so you can kind of go either way with this. I like Mage Hand a lot, but Vicious Mockery may be a little bit better. You also can then take the Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and this also has Sudden Awakening, which gives you a bonus action to pick up sleeping allies or anyone that may be knocked prone. There's the Id Insinuation here, 1d12 of psychic damage, and can leave a creature incapacitated. Either Tasha's Hideous Laughter or if you have Mistress Spells downloaded would be a good choice. And the starting instrument is personal preference here. I love a good drum. And then for our ability scores, this is a charisma-based class. It also does need a bit of dexterity. So you could use the hags here, take your dexterity up to 18 here. I like to go with a stat spread of 16 dex, 14 constitution, and 16 charisma. Upon hitting level 2, we get the unnatural agility. You move with a nimble grace that allows you to traverse the dance floor with ease. Increases your movement speed by 4 meters if you're not using a shield. We also get another cantrip, which we can then take our Mage Hand there. This is great because it can throw health potions to keep us full of health, and it can also throw explosives, it can throw water bottles to set up your casters, you name it. Now, we get to take our subclass here, and we also get to select another spell. I'd recommend Tasha's Hideous Laughter, although Disguise Self lets you take some of the Githyanki weapon buffs. But for our subclass, as mentioned, I'll just briefly go over these. So the Acrobat sets your armor class to 12 plus charisma modifier if it would be higher than your armor class by your armor. So this is actually a pretty good buff here. We also get a bonus action dash, and the elusive here. Attack rolls against you have disadvantage, and you have advantage on dexterity saving throws. This is a bonus action, lasts until the end of your next turn. There's also the Jester here, which has a lurk in shadow. Starting at the second level, when you attack a creature when you're not in your hidden form, the target becomes frightened until the start of your next turn. And we also get the hide action there, so instead of the dash. And then the Torchbearer is my preference. Smolder, whenever you deal fire damage to a creature, that creature is set aflame. It takes fire damage equal to your charisma modifier at the start of its next turn, and the flames are doused. A little bit extra damage. It's great if you have Call the Weak, because that can sometimes be enough to pop it. We also get Produce Flame, which is an interesting cantrip because you can cast this and hold the flame until long rest, and then this procs any light-based gear in the game. And there's also the Torch Master. You're proficient with torches, lanterns, and clubs. These weapons are treated as finesse weapons when wielded by you. It's cool because you can now get a finesse-based club or a torch. This is really great if you're able to dip and take something like Shillelagh, which can then let you do it with your spellcasting modifier. So kind of interesting choice there, but we get choice in some different spells. We got things like Burning Hands and Dissonant Whispers. Either of your choices there really work. Bane is okay. I think Sleep and Color Splayer are alright. At level 3, not that great though. We then also get to take skill proficiencies. I'd recommend Deception or Intimidation. Deception if you're like a middle or kind of good aligned. Intimidation if you're going evil, obviously. Level 4 gives us another subclass feature, Embrace the Flame. Critical hits or hits on burning creatures inflict fire vulnerability on a failed charisma save. Burning creatures let out an explosion of fire. Yeah, we got a pretty nice buff there. That's why I wanted to select this one, because this is pretty good. Fire vulnerability is only going to get granted if they don't have a resistance to it. So at this level, we could go with the Elemental Adept, which is ignore resistances to fire damage. And then also, whenever we deal fire damage with a spell, we cannot roll a 1. As a true Torchbearer, this is a good choice to go with. However, Alert for the +5 to initiative, amazing choice as well. And you could go with a dexterity or charisma-based increase. I would weigh towards the dexterity increase. Level 5, extra attack. It's great. It's a big power spike. We then also, with this subclass, get access to more spells here, with Mirror Image being a very high demand one because it's increased our armor class by 9. And then we also have the Crown of Madness. This is actually a pretty good spell. It's underrated, and it makes an enemy attack someone else beside them. So yeah, it's actually a pretty good spell. Level 6 gives us our Breath of the Dancing Dragon. 3d6 plus 3 fire damage, ignoring resistances. You learn how to wield the fire of a dragon in a fashion. You exhale a potent alcoholic mixture to spray fire in a cone. Creatures within the cone must do a dexterity saving throw or become damaged. Not a lot of damage, but at level 6, it's an okay choice. We then also can get some more fire-based spells, with Scorching Ray obviously being a very good one. Flame Blade's nice, however, we can make a permanent Flame Blade if we wanted to. And even better, because the permanent one will let us actually create a stronger version of it. Flaming Spear is good too. It does require concentration, so you can't use a Crowd of Madness with it. And also Heat Metal is actually a pretty good spell too, giving disadvantage on attack rolls. Although for our level, I actually think Flaming Spear and Scorching Ray are kind of the way to go. Although you could go with the Flame Blade there. Now, level 6 gives us a fire spell, Fireball. There's no real world where you'd want to take Blindness over Fireball, so we're going to go with that because this just gives us a good option for damage from range. So yeah, take it. Level 7 gives us the Menacing Strikes. You learn to instill fear through your combat prowess. When you enhance your damage to a creature with your Rhythmic Assault feature, you may cause it to do a Charisma saving throw, and it'll become frightened of you if it fails. Pretty good. Frightened means that they can't move and they get disadvantage on attack rolls. Level 8, another feat. And I think Alert at this point is great, or the Charisma or Dex increase there. I'm going to roll with the Alert because I like to go first, especially if we got 2 extra attack, if we have an extra attack or fire damage, which we're now immune to fire damage with the Fire Eater here. And then we can take Fire Bolt and I guess Blade War because we already have a light spell. Fairy Fire for the thematic purpose. Bane, I guess we don't really need the other two. We'll take the Blindness spell there, and then we get access to Wall of Fire or Fire Shield, which are 2 great spells. We're going to go with Wall of Fire, though, because it's actually a really good crowd control option. Level 10, this gives us another feat. It's nice, like the Rogue, so at this point we can go with the Dex increase or the Charisma increase. I think the Dex is a little bit better for this build, but yeah, we also then get at level 11 the Madden Cackle. You can use your action to let out a hideous cacophony of hysterical laughter. A number of creatures that you can hear within 9 meters must do a Wisdom saving throw or fall hideous laughter for 10 turns. That's pretty good. So yeah, we can basically knock everyone all prone, and then if you have like a rogue, it sets them up. Level 12 gives us Dethrone. This is an awesome spell. It's only available if you learn it from the book that you can get. So it's nice to have that. And then we also get a feat, and at this point we can max out our Dexterity or our Charisma. Another choice is if we're doing a lot of melee attacks, we can use the Savage Attacker, which rerolls our damage die. And I really like this if you use a Flame Blade, especially if you make the permanent Flame Blade that's got 5d6 of fire damage, because that's rerolling all your damage die. It's actually pretty crazy damage if we want to do a bit of melee too. Now this mod does have level 20 support, so you can stay at level 12 if you want to, but I'll show off the level 20 abilities here just because some people are interested in it. So you do get another feat at level 14 here, which we can then use to max out either our Charisma or our Dexterity here. We do get a boost to our Charisma as well once we hit level 11 there. We also get the Torment here. When you deal damage with a weapon attack to a creature that is frightened, you may deal an additional 1d6 of psychic damage. It was really good. Anytime we can add additional damage on top of stuff, it's a big boost to our overall damage. At level 16, another feat. Since we're going up to level 20, you could take the Tough feat here, which will give you an extra 40 health. I like to take that a little bit later. The Lucky feat I actually think fits very well here. It gives you advantage on attack rolls, ability checks, or saving throws, and it's going to be useful because it doesn't eat up our reaction. Level 17 gives us a few more spells. We get things like Conjure Barrage, which is a great spell to have. We also get Fear, and then I like to have Invisibility here just for the stealth aspect of it. But yeah, Conjure Barrage at least gives us something else that we can use to get a weapon attack off and an area of effect, kind of similar to Fireball and Wall of Fire. Level 18, Nada. And then once we get to level 19, we get our last feat here, which we can then go with the Tough feat for that boost to our health of 40. It's 2 per level, so that's really good. And level 20. Our Torment is now greater, doing a 2d6 of psychic damage to an attack against a creature that's frightened. And Grand Finale, once per combat, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack or unarmed attack while in Rhythmic Assault, you may choose to apply additional 6 to 48 psychic damage. Afterwards, your Rhythmic Assault cannot be used for 6 turns. That's pretty strong. And combat's not likely to last past those 6 turns, but if it does, then you can just wham again with it. And this outfit mod is Luna and Umbra by Arideyya on Nexus mods. Alright, now, so for gear, I like the Pyro Quickness hat because when you get fire spells, getting an extra bonus action on a character that's got like offhand attacks and things like that is actually pretty good. So that's my personal preference. You could also use the Hat of Fire Cutie if you really wanted to. The Helmet of Haste Helmet is really good in the early game as well. With mod builds, I'm not going to go too crazy in depth with this. Cloak of Protection or Deathstalker Mantle. The Ballast Armor is great because we can get our double damage. We can use light armor or clothing. Now, typically, when you go with a clothing option, your armor class is going to be lower. So things like the Potent Robe here, which would add our Charisma modifier to our Firebolts, which is actually pretty nice. It's it's an option in Act 2 that you can go with. Now, personally, since this is a mod build, going with the strongest armors, I think the Heldisk armor fits here because anytime that you got a Wall of Fire up, you're not going to get burned by it, and this just lets you kind of bypass the burning that you'd also get from the Pyro Quickness hats. These work together the Torchbearer. It's a fire-based build, so we're also going to use the Helldust gloves here, which gives us additional fire damage. And this can also pair really well if we use some funny here, the Helldust boots. Now, the Helldust boots and the Power Quickness hat work together because Hellcrawler, this ability here actually procs this, so you get a free teleport that does fire damage. It works really well, and this will actually make so that we don't get difficult terrain effects because this class doesn't have any way to deal with those. For some other gloves, I guess you could go with the gloves of Wondrous gloves, I guess, giving a +1 to armor class from Act 1 onward. I was going to say gloves of Legion Skies, doesn't really fit here. Gloves of Battle Mage's Power if you play a high elf and use Booming Blade often. Otherwise, things like the Brain Drain glove can be decent whenever you deal psychic damage, you inflict mental fatigue. And then boots, you also have the boots of Stormy Clamor from Act 1, which are great. Now, Ring of Free Action is good if you don't have these boots yet, because we have no way to deal with any type of crowd control and movement, so that can really keep us safe. I also have the Shadow Cloak ring here for an additional 1d4 of damage. I would not recommend using this alongside the Helldust boots. That's just something I wanted to mention. I do think the best ring is the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel. Mystic Scoundrel, that's kind of your Harlequin type class. This then lets us use Vicious Mockery as a bonus action, a few other spells like Dissonant Whispers, and it's really good, so I'd recommend using that. Now, for our ranged weapon, I got the Hellrider Longbow, and then we got our melee attacks here. I like Rhapsody because this kind of fits the build very well, as well as the Knife of the Undermountain King. This is from the early game. You can use either of these. It's personal preference, honestly. We could also go with something like Dolor Amaris for the critical hit extra damage. There's even things like the Cold Snap you could use if you want to set up your other casters on your team. The Susur Dagger is good too. But yeah, we'll roll with this. Then before we get into a fight, we're going to want to use the Torchmaster here. You could also use a torch for a weapon. That's honestly not a bad choice here, but yeah, you can proc that there. We then got our other abilities. At later levels, the Breath of the Dancing Dragon actually becomes really weak in comparison to some of our other attacks, which will just do a lot more naturally. Like even just Firebolt doing a 4d10 of fire damage versus the 3d6. It doesn't take a lot, but obviously Firebolt's single target, so it's a little bit different. But then we also could just use a Fireball spell with one higher level spell slot, because we do get 4 level 3s, 4 level 2s, 7 level 1s, 1 level 4, and 2 level 5s, so you got a fair selection. And on our first turn of combat, the best thing I would recommend doing is setting up one form of crowd control. Early game, that'll be things like Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and later on in the game, that's going to be things like your Wall of Fire, because this is just a huge area of effect that you can just lay down, and whenever you have this down, the enemies are going to end up taking damage by moving through it, so it's just an easy crowd control. We got a bunch of fire damage off there, and that was good. Now, it didn't take out those targets. We have some in the backline that we got to take care of, so I'm actually going to go right after them. I'm just going to eat that opportunity attack. It's fine. We have the grand finale here, though, so I'm not sure why this is procking here, but I'm going to use it yeah, it made me take the damage instead. And break my concentration on Wall of Fire. Oh no. Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. I guess don't use it as a reaction on yourself. Just a heads up on that. You want to use as a reaction on the attacks. Geez, that actually hurt me a lot too because I have the Resonance Stone, so it doubled the damage. Youch, yeah, 68 Psychic plus 28. And then we have to wait 6 more turns to be able to use this again. Yeah, that was not worth doing. Don't do what I did there. I didn't expect that to actually hurt me. I was hoping it would hit them, but yeah. I'm going to drop a Fireball and hope for the best here. This is not, I don't think this could go any worse at this point. So we were able to take out 2 enemies. That's at least something. And we got ourselves a bonus action. So then we can go ahead with an offhand attack. That's not going to take this target out. I may as well try to finish off some of these targets here that are low on health. Yeah, because I have nothing else. Critical miss. My goodness, this is just not going my way. But I was able to pop a couple of them. And we have the grand finale procking again. We're not going to proc this on ourselves because, yeah, I learned. I'm a reformed man. I learned from my mistakes. And I'm going to use something a little different. What's kind of cool is the Madden Cackle, since it's an enchantment cantrip, we can actually use it here. But we also got Vicious Mockery that can also do quite a bit of damage. And even a Dissonant Whispers is kind of funny because you can upcast this if there's a target that you just really want gone. That did 80 damage because we have the Resonance Stone doubling it. So for bonus action, honestly, that's really good. Whoa, and they just exploded on their turn. I don't know what happened there. I guess it was a Greater Torment. Just started exploding on everyone. You can see that there. I'm not sure how I was able to proc it, but yeah, just ended up doing a bunch of psychic and fire damage to everybody, and now we're good. We took out the combat. Despite having that little hiccup there where I accidentally damaged myself, yeah, you're able to take them all out pretty easily. It's nice though, this class actually is quite balanced. This is obviously a level 20 build, so we get higher level spell slots and some of the more powerful abilities, but if you take this to level 12, it's going to be pretty well balanced because you're kind of like a melee half caster. And if you want to compare this to something, the Paladin will be a lot stronger because they're Divine Smite. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below, and shouts out to Ahdarugo for making this awesome port of this mod. Also check out their other mods. I recently just covered their Spellfire Sorcerer, which is a class mod they made themselves completely. And I also want to give them a big shout out because they actually translated my mod, the College of Winter Spirit Bard, into Korean, which I really appreciate. So yeah, go check it out, and I hope you guys all have an amazing day.